Let's shift over to college football. We got a lot to discuss here. Let's bring in our guy down in sunny Las Vegas. Brad, how you making out today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me as always, Joe.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we have an avalanche of games to discuss, 6 to be exact. If you missed Brad's appearance on the Monday show, he gave out Louisiana Tech plus 5.5. That game's going down tonight. And Fresno State minus 5.5. We have 3 best bets to add to those games and also a couple big games to discuss here. So, Brad, let's start with the best bets. And we'll start with the total. Arkansas State and Troy, a real barn burner. I'm having a bunch of guys over to watch this one, but the total for that one's sitting at 51.5. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, we're going to go over the total here. And this time of year, sometimes you're looking for any edge that you can get. And sometimes in that regard, you're looking for, fundamental changes for teams that have already made a change. And Arkansas State being the one that's made a change here recently at the quarterback position. They went to a young kid that's been dynamic their last 2 games. If you remember, I think everyone remembers Arkansas State losing 73-0 in week 1. Well, that offense has gotten a lot better since then because of the quarterback change. And you got a kid the last 2 weeks that's thrown a total of 9 touchdown passes, 1 interception. Offense dramatically improved. And then I also think, why was this total sitting in the low 50s? Well, Troy's played a lot of grind them out games the last couple of weeks in Sun Belt competition against Georgia State and James Madison. So I think their offense is due to against a worse Arkansas State defense to kind of expound and explode here. So let's go over 51.5, Arkansas State, Troy.
Yeah, it could be a fun one there. Next up, we have NC State taking on Marshall. We have a spread inside of a touchdown, 6.5. What are you looking at for this one?
Yeah, it's a similar theme here. Let's go ahead and play on the fundamental change. And this is on the NC State side. They benched their starting quarterback, Brennan Armstrong, who was the reason they lost last week against Louisville. I mean, he big time struggled with the turnovers almost all year, but specifically last week. They go to a kid by the name of N.J. Morris, has experience. In fact, he was in a similar position with NC State last year, came in during the middle of the season, really sparked the offense. They won a couple of games under him. So I like this dynamic athlete that gives this offense a spark. Let's go ahead and lay the 6.5 with NC State.
Okay, next up, we have a big number, 19-point spread between Michigan and Minnesota. Do you like the favorite or do you like the dog in this one?
I like the favorite, believe it or not. And I know a lot of people are, oh, wow, lower total. You're laying it with Michigan. Well, here to tell you, I know they haven't covered a bunch of point spreads this year, but they covered last week. And you know what they've covered? This number in every single game this year. So, yeah, it looks like a big number, but not for this Michigan team. If you go back to last week's game, that was a complete performance. Keep in mind, they're playing without Harbaugh and some of their other assistant coaches the first 3 weeks of the season. Now that they've gotten into Big Ten play, they looked a little bit more buttoned up. And they just absolutely destroyed a Nebraska team last week on the road, a Nebraska team that should have beaten Minnesota earlier this year. So I like Michigan minus the 19.
So explain that philosophy. A lot of novice bettors might not understand it, but when you have a low total in a game with a big spread, a lot of people will lean towards the underdog in that one, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and it makes sense. I mean, limited scoring. You want to be in a lot of those examples. You want to take the big point spread there. I hear you. I understand that, and a lot of times I'm in that position. I just think the bigger mispricing is on the Michigan side, going through the motions the first 3 weeks without their head coach. Now appear to be more buttoned up once conference play hits, and then Minnesota's dealing with a few injuries that aren't being properly priced, in my opinion.
Okay, let's get into some of these big games here. No game bigger this week than Texas, Oklahoma. Of course, Saturday afternoon, 6.5 point spread. Which side are you on for this one?
Yeah, I don't think you got to be Elon Musk to figure this one out. Texas minus 6.5 is the play for me. I just think they're the more buttoned up team. I got data point. It's all about data points this time of the year because you got really disparity as far as data points. Who has someone played? Texas has gone on the road and beaten Alabama. That's arguably the best data point of any team this entire season so far. And yet Oklahoma really hasn't played anybody yet. Yeah, they're 5-0. Yeah, they've covered every single game as far as the point spread. But, man, diving into them and rewatching some of their games, they struggle for long stretches. SMU, that was a 14-11 game, late third quarter in that one. Cincinnati, they won by 14, but, I mean, it was Cincinnati struggling multiple trips inside the red zone. Otherwise, that could be a one possession game or even tighter than that. So I just think Texas, I've seen what their A game looks like. I haven't seen Oklahoma's A game, and I'm not sure that they can match Texas's A game in this one. So let's lay the 6.5 with Texas.
Okay, next up we have Georgia looking to make a statement here, a 14.5-point favorite versus Kentucky. Do you like the Bulldogs or do you like the Wildcats here?
Yeah, chalk heavy this week, but I think it's a rare opportunity to buy low, sell high and win a Georgia game. And you're actually on the Georgia side of things, a Georgia team that has not covered a point spread all season long. But I'm here to tell you, it's all about urgency with them. And you see them play with urgency when they get down in these games against South Carolina and Auburn. And then the light bulb clicks on in the second half. You're like, oh, okay, that looks like, one of the best teams in the country. I think you see it from start to finish here. I think Kentucky's domination of Florida is the sell high spot. Really didn't like what I saw from Kentucky the first 4 games of the season. So I'm going to weigh those 4 games over just one data point. And I think that domination of Florida by Kentucky grabs Georgia's attention at home, at night. I think it's a cheap number here. I made it 17.5. So let's lay 14.5.
Okay, let's bring things home with another total play here. We have Alabama trying to keep that championship window open. They're taking on Texas A&M. Game has a total of 46. Do you like the over? Do you like the under for this matchup?
Yeah, let me first talk point spread. I wouldn't be a bit surprised A&M closes the favorite in this one. Word out of Wednesday's practice is Jalen Milroe, the quarterback for Alabama, might have pulled a hammy. So keep that in mind as we get closer to game time and see how legitimate those reports are. I'm going to go under because I trust the 2 things that I trust the most in this are both teams' defenses. Alabama's defense has been playing at a championship level the last 3 games. And then A&M, if you follow A&M recruiting, bunch of 5-star kids, freshmen and sophomores, you starting to see them ascend here, especially the last 2 weeks against Auburn and Arkansas, and a misleading higher scoring game against Arkansas last week that featured 3 non-offensive touchdowns. All those reasons are why I'm going under here, including the possible quarterback injury to Alabama, under 46.
Whew, baby. Brad, that is a lot of action here for Saturday. So it should be an absolute blast here Saturday, and some Thursday night college football action as well. So that should be fun going head to head with the big Bears Commanders game. So Brad, that does it for today. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you again on Monday, where maybe we'll take a look at the National Championship Futures Board and see where the Heisman odds stand as well. But best of luck with your bets here tonight and this weekend. We'll catch you next time.
Appreciate it as always, Joe. Take care. Good luck on your bets, Joe.